Alright, chat, before I get into this video, I do want to give my thoughts and prayers to those that are being affected right now in Tampa Bay, Florida, and Daytona Beach, Florida, and all of Florida that's dealing with this hurricane right now, which is Hurricane Milton. They just got through dealing with Hurricane Helene, and I can only imagine how, listen, I was at the bar tearing up. I had to have a couple drinks last night. I'm sorry, because I'm just one of those people that feel stuff like that. I already lost 3 family members just in my personal life, especially a younger cousin who's only 20. So, I mean, my thoughts and prayers again go out to them, especially those who play Dead by Daylight, because you got to think too, people in the DVD community are likely from that area as well, likely dealing with that stuff. So I hope everything gets well with them soon and hope they survive, or as much as they can. I don't know. I'm not a part of that. And listen, where I live, dude, I just get snow. And I'm going to tell you this right now. You think your life is bad at times when you're dealing with a job and you just don't feel like dealing with school work and all that stuff. But when you have to deal with something like that, you just can't even fathom where to begin, especially just picking up and starting over. You know, you got to just pick up and start over if you even survive. I mean, over 200 plus people passed away dealing with that stuff. You know what I mean? So again, I hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I just had to just say that. All right, now in this video, I want to talk about 3 perks that I recommend that people should try out, right? It's just a build. Now, this is just my personal build. It's not an exhaust perk. It's not an exhaust build. It's lightweight, iron will, and quick and quiet. Now, the third perk can be whatever you'd like it to be. I like Windows Opportunity. It is the most used perk in the game, even more than Pain Res, believe it or not. What it is it's, trying to throw off the killer. Because you have to realize, see, here's the thing. If you played Killer before or you understand Killer, it just helps you become a better survivor. Why? Because you have to understand. So here's the thing. You have to understand Killer and Survivor on both sides to be able to be a better. So if you understand Survivor and how they move, it just helps you become a better Killer. And if you understand Killer and how they move, it helps you become a better survivor, right? So, for example, I like using lightweight. Why? Because with the 3rd tier at least, which most of the time you want to get your perks at the highest level you can go to get the most effective use, is that it hides the scratch marks a little, it takes a little, well, here's the thing. It makes it more spacey, more spotty, it's not consistent, which is good because most scratch marks are very consistent. You want to have it being less consistent, so that way the killer is hard to keep up and track you. And it shows your scratch marks 5 seconds less than normal. So if you don't have lightweight, it would just work as normal and killer can better keep up with you. But if you have lightweight, you can pretty much throw off the killer by having it being spotty, sporadic, and it shows your scratch marks 5 seconds less than normal. And that really helps when you also pair it with iron will, because if you can be silent in your chases while you're injured, the killer can't hear you unless you are exhausted. Now, keep in mind, Fearmonger, I'm not sure if it's called Fearmonger anymore back in the day. I know it's a Mind Breaker or something like that, where I think if you hold the gen, if you're holding on to it, and I just cooked my boy, I know you just saw that. But if you're holding on to a gen and then it makes you exhausted and the killer hits you and chases you off of it, you will be exhausted. If you run any exhaust perk, Dead Hard, Balanced Landing, it just won't work. They reworked Iron Will in so many ways that it's ridiculous. In the beginning, Iron Will, you could be exhausted and it will still work perfectly. You could be 100% silent in your chases as you were injured. Then they made it where, okay, we're going to make it where it's only 75% silent. So that means you will hear, the killer can hear you a little bit. Then they reworked it and said, okay, we're going to make you 100% silent, but you can't pair with an exhaust perk because then it's just useless. So I don't recommend you pairing this with any exhaust perk. I just say, hey, just run this how you run it. And then my 3rd perk that I like and love the most, not the most, but it really works well, is quick and quiet. So imagine you are running lightweight, you're less easy to track because of your sporadic and inconsistent scratch marks. You are quiet with your grunts and pains without an exhaust perk, but you also can vault quietly. Keep this in mind, y'all. At a certain distance, killers can see fastball, especially if you're in chase. they can see like the notification and, you know, like the explosion. They can see that when you're fast vaulting. And a lot of times you're going to be fast vaulting, whether you're trying to get like a clean fast vault or a slow vault. If you're holding turbo, you're gonna make a noise. If you have quick and quietest activated, you don't make a noise. So think about it. Killer cannot keep up with you with scratch marks. They cannot hear you while you're injured. And you can fast vault if you lose them around a wall. Now, I will say this. If you can lose a killer around a wall, quick and quiet is more effective. Obviously, if a killer can see you fast vaulting and you have quick and quiet, then they'll know. But if you can be more unpredictable, that's what helps you in your chases. And that's another point that I want to kind of get to this. And if, dude, listen, if you like this video, if it helps you out, please, it helps with the algorithm. I'm trying to get my channel to like be popping. I know I'd be dropping gems in a community for survivors. At least I have the most based and balanced takes in this community. I don't, if you know, you know, right? Also keep in mind too, I don't know if you see in chases, it's very important to duck. I don't know if you ever notice or see a bot loop when they're trying to run from killer, because they also look behind them. To me, bots look behind them more than a lot of survivors, right? Now, it's very important to duck if the killer can't see. You have to outside of Chucky, which is like the only killer that's in third person. You have to understand that killer's POV is like close in, right? So if you duck in your chases and they're like you're behind an object, they won't see you as much, especially if you have iron will and they can't hear you, and you have lightweight, so you pretty much are inconsistent. So the killer will just lose you, right? And the goal is to play very unpredictable. You want to be very unpredictable, right? So like, don't make the obvious reads. The best thing, like for example, there's nothing wrong with pre-dropping if you feel safe enough to do so, if you're at a, you know, loop. But you don't want to just keep pre-dropping being obvious. But there's times you're just going to have to hold forward. It's called the hold forward meta, right? Now they're making killers where they can just chase you, and it's harder for you to hold forward against because all these anti-loop killers like Dracula and Pyramid Head and all that stuff in the night. But against really good killers, you can't just play obvious. You can't just make the obvious loop. You can't just go around the same loops. You're going to have to get confident in chaining loops. And this is why I like running this build, because I'm able to be more bold at like leaving a loop and mind gaming, because I know I could possibly lose the killer, especially against a killer like Spirit. I mean, I think Lightweight really works well against her. Not all the time, don't get me wrong, but you know, it helps her, it helps you throw them off with the scratch marks, and Spirit needs to be able to see your scratch marks. So if you can walk in your chases, slow down the bloodlust, slow down your scratch marks, have Lightweight, you can pretty much run all day. Lightfoot, it's a very good perk too, don't get me wrong. However, with Lightfoot, you have to be completely healthy. And I sort of dislike that, because you're not going to be realistically always healthy in your chases. But if you can run that perk and you say, you know what, I'm just going to put on Windows, I'm just going to run that. So Lightfoot, Lightweight, Iron Will, and Quick and Quiet, you'll pretty much lose the killer every time. Right, especially if you know what you're doing, but you also have to keep holding forward. Here's another thing I do want to say before this video ends. Try not to zone yourself out. Pathing is very important, so don't try to work from the edge of the map if you can, and towards the middle or towards the loop in the middle. Never try, unless you're for sure trying to die in the corner, just so you can try to like avoid a quick hook. I would avoid trying to go from the middle of the map to the edge, and that's even to shack. Like, people try to run the shack, is like the very safe loop, but you zone yourself out that way, trying to loop straight from like towards the edge of the map, when you can go from the edge of the map into the middle and keep mind gaming. But listen, please let me know what you guys think. Do you like this build? Do you think it's a dub? Do you think it's the L? Let me know if you ever tried this build, or just put in the comments what is your favorite build. What do you like to run? And yeah, if nothing else, have a blessed day. Please like, share, subscribe, and peace.